Hi everyone, Sikamikanico here from XboxEra. Now, we've been given permission to give you guys some gameplay footage from the first 4 levels of Halo Infinite, or missions if you prefer that term. Now, the downside of this is that you do have to hear me narrating over it, and it can't be just straight gameplay. So hopefully I am not too irritating a presence throughout these videos. So we'll get started here with the opening of the game, and indeed it is the original cutscene we saw back in 2019, where we see the pilot who has been stuck out in a Pelican for months. He misses his family. He's been out there long enough to grow a very admirable beard and a good head of hair, and he's clearly in shock, in distress as a human being. And it's one of the things I commented on in our preview video coverage in general, is that the pilot is an interesting character because he's got this bigger human side, especially when contrasted with the chief, who is a man of few words. So we see the sadness and the desperation, and indeed when he picks up the friendly signal for the chief stuck outside in space, he's almost in shock and disbelief that after all this time there's someone out there. And obviously, hey, good news, it's a Spartan. So he pulls him out, he powers him back on, and we get one of the staples now of a Halo game, which is the, how do you want to invert your controls? Are you a normal person that doesn't invert their controls, or are you one of those weirdos? And you get this nice power-up intro, and he'll talk us through looking at the lights and kind of deciding on your preference. I mean, it's always been a thing since the original Halo back in 2001, so it's a really nice nod to it here that you can do it. And whilst he's doing that, because I appreciate you guys want to see gameplay, so I've tried to keep the cutscenes to the minimum, but I thought this was interesting. It's just the quality of the in-game graphics. Now, this is not cutscene, right? This is gameplay. And I think they've done a pretty good job of meeting that target render that we saw back in 2019. There are some subtle changes, I think, in terms of his face and some of the animations. But overall, the texture work, the graphical fidelity on display is really, really nice. And I think that makes itself known throughout the game. And you guys will see what I mean as we progress. There's texture work and material work here that I think is just really, really good looking. Is it the prettiest game in the world? I would say no. But is it the prettiest Halo has ever looked? Oh, absolutely. So anyway, we're powered back up. We're going out. The Banished pull us in, and we're like, no, we're not gonna just take that lying down. So we head over there to kick some butt. And this is the first mission. We've infiltrated a banished ship that's kind of pulled us in, called the Gbraakon. It's a weird alien word. Don't blame me. I didn't write it. So you might have seen that yellow pulse there, and indeed my torch. So a couple of things in Halo Infinite, certainly during the campaign, you have a permanent torch on up on the D-pad, and the scan, which is a local pulse, which is down on the D-pad. I think it's also present in multiplayer. You get access to the grapple shot straight away, and it is indeed very, very useful. It's almost when you're playing through, you kind of think, why wasn't this just in Halo from the beginning? Because it feels really good. Now, I'm playing on heroic difficulty, and this is my second run through. So in the efforts of time and to be efficient, I am kind of running and gunning through this. And I will edit the gameplay level, so it's not going to be a straight run through, because I'm only allowed for this video to be 15 minutes long. So I'll go through as reasonably as I can, and hopefully you guys will get a good grasp on how the enemies behave, the gameplay on offer. Here we see the first intro with our good returning friends, the Brutes. They're a lot beefier this time around, and he certainly means business. I like that this is an in-game cutscene as well, because you can see in the original footage we were shown a couple of weeks back, it was Chief holding an AR, but I've got this gun, so I get to see this instead, which is kind of cool. He's easily disposed of though, because, you know, I'm a professional. And here we see a big hologram of the Halo Wars 2 bad guy, aka Atriox. I can't say too much about this because I said I wouldn't, but Halo fans, especially from the very start of the game, are in for a real treat. Now we're going to make our way through. I think our idea is to kind of take over the ship as best we can, and the Chief is usually pretty good at doing that kind of thing. And we're going to make our way through. And you can see some of the emergent gameplay that just having the grapple shot immediately sort of opens up for us. I can pick up these little fuel canisters, and it's worth mentioning there are different types. So you've got like straight up explosive or fuel, and you've got ones that seem to contain some sort of electrostatic charge, and then you've got other ones that create this area of effect, which I think you'll see in a moment from memory, where when you blow it up, all these little globulets fly out and fall on the ground, and then they cause this kind of burning fire, which can damage you as well, so it's worth being on the ball for that one in case you're too near one of the larger canisters. Neat little thing here with the jackals is if you've got the grapple shot, you can kind of ping them to make them lift their shield. I should do it a couple of times throughout this gameplay footage. And you can see here I've played this before because I know that lift's coming down, so I'm patiently waiting. And there's the area of effect canister there. You can see it kind of burns on the ground, and causes sort of damage to your shields as those little balls of it land. Not sure what it is, maybe it's plasma or something like that. Anyway, up the lift, and in the interest of time, I'll do a quick edit to skip some of the chit-chat, and we're going to head straight into the next section of the level where, you know, as it's the tutorial level, and they'll now give us some grenades to get to grips with. We'll take out our little troop of returning Covenant bad guys. We've got jackals, we've got grunts. It's interesting to note that as you progress through the game, the grunts and the jackals have all had a bit of an upgrade, and there's various armoured variants of them that make it a little bit more challenging. So it's very familiar in that you're fighting the Covenant, or at least, you know, a remnant of the Covenant. But it's also nice and refreshing because they do surprise you on occasion with some unique behaviours and different sort of animations that play out compared to what you're used to. Grunt chatter is as hilarious and amusing as ever, and the brutes are, you know, their usual proud, ragey selves when they're on the losing end. I love the ability to just kind of, as always with Halo, use the environment, do some weapon swaps, pick up what you've got and what's available to you. You might have seen a glimpse here of this ammo crate. It says it's a new thing to Halo. There's placed these throughout levels, and they come in variants of, I think, electric, plasma-based weapons and kinetic-based weapons. So rather than particularly find a weapon on the ground, you can resupply that particular gun from one of those crates. It's also worth noting a slight change. Typically when you find a plasma weapon on the ground, if you ran out of ammo for it, you'd have to swap it out and physically press B or whatever your control setup says to pick up a new version of that gun. Now in Halo Infinite you can just walk over those guns and they'll resupply on their own. So it's a subtle change, and you know, you might get some diehards that will complain about it, but I think from a ease of use perspective, it makes sense. You know, we do that for kinetic weapons and guns with bullets, so why not just make it an even change across the board and do that for plasma guns too. Nice satisfying stick there. I feel like I'm just showing off at this point, but we're going to come through now and we're going to meet another friend of the Brute Army. Now this is the big bad for this game. He's a intimidating character, to say the least, and he talks a lot about Atriox and saying, "Hear me, I'm gonna do this for you." So there's a lot of reverence for Atriox, which is the original character from Halo Wars 2. But Escherum's a different kind of beastie, and he certainly makes me a little bit nervous. So they're doing a really good job. His voice acting is really, really great. Yeah, we will burn. Come on. We're gonna kick his ass at some point in the game. We'll find out. We'll see what happens. So this is a classic Halo setup. Here's a big arena full of bad guys. Go to town. And again, this is where that Halo sandbox really comes into play. And I think as a tutorial level, which this kind of is, this gives you that big arena to kind of play around in and lots of different guns to have fun with. Now on heroic, because of the expanse and I'm still not used to everything, I wasn't too gung-ho here, so I will just, you know, delicately and patiently take these guys out from this nice vantage point. We can see I think that's the Ravager, which is a screen shaky area of effect style gun with which the AI are surprisingly accurate. Thankfully, because I edited the video, I didn't have to show you the 3 times I died doing this room. We get to make it look like I just had a nice straight run with no failure whatsoever. So we'll take out all these guys, and then I think we're going to head to the bridge and try and take over the ship. I love this particular gun, the Mangler. Gives me strong Mauler vibes from Halo 3, but it's really, you can really feel the power of each shot as you satisfyingly put them into brute skulls. There is a drop-off effect, so it's not a straight line for that bullet. Anyway, we're in the bridge. Oh, it's locked down. We can't do anything. What's Chief's solution? Well, let's blow it up instead. Of course, this is Halo. So we're going to take out the ship by blowing up these reactor cores, I suppose, which again is kind of reminiscent of that last level in Halo CE where the Pillar of Autumn needs to be detonated. But this doesn't take too long, and it's not too drawn out a battle either. So we're going to patiently go through and take out some of these reactors here. So that's number 1. And then we'll do a nice little cut in the interests of time and take out reactor number 2. Once I've cleared out some more bad guys, of course. Lovely. Now that the ship is on a intercept course with Oblivion, it's time to leg it. So we're going to make our way out into the end of the level now. This is the end game. There's a nice little battle here up high against a variety of banished beasties. Really do love that Mangler. Worth mentioning as well, the soundtrack throughout this game is probably one of the best Halo has ever had. It is really good and it kicks in at just the right time. Really gets your guns going. Alright, we're going to fire the engines, blow up the ship. Fun times. Ooh, Escherum's not very pleased. And now he's seen that the Chief is here. We'll worry about him later. Nice fun sequence of running through that area we saw earlier as everything blows to hell. And then we get... I'm going to skip some of this just so I don't want to give away too much, but you can see some of the fun you're going to have when you come to play the game. And then we get to the end here and things get a bit dicey, but we get a great little cutscene of being sucked out into space. We can see our friend the pilot there on the Pelican trying to get the battery started, but we just miss him and we're knocked out into space. And again, I love that subtle muting of the sound effects as we're left with just the sound of our breathing inside the helmet, and there in space is Zeta Halo itself. And this is the end of the first mission of Halo Infinite. I hope you've enjoyed this video and my rambling, and stick with us for part 2 where we take a look at the second mission, which is Foundations. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to hit like, hit subscribe, and hey, ring that notification bell so that we can let you know when we're dropping some fresh content. And we'll see you next time.